Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bob Cajan's, the bunker in Bob Cajun, B&B. New definition, not bed and breakfast. Although Jim does get breakfast when he comes. He's not here in the studio. The power failure took us down and out. So these are some interim podcasts just to say we are still alive and well, which you cannot presume these days. You never know. The thunderstorms, they were massive. And they took out the grid. Well, I'm not complaining. We got a generator. You know the story. Plug it in, run some extension cords, keep it away from your house, be safe, and make sure you get a coffee. The coffee pot got plugged into my generator, so I did have that. But I couldn't power everything and didn't have enough extension cords to keep power everywhere. And this studio generates or takes or consumes a lot of electricity between all the monitors, the desktop CPUs, all the different peripherals that I've got. And of course, there's the little heater for my good friend Jim's coffee, which he's now staked as his own. Jim, I've got my mug on the coffee pot warmer stand and taken advantage of your absence. I think we need to get a budgetary increase so we can get two of these things so we can both have warm coffee during the Jim and Terry Show. Talking about things that just... you got to be gobsmacked. I love that British expression. I never knew about it until I met some people who had come from the UK, and gobsmacked was one of those expressions. I'd never heard of it. Well, I am gobsmacked that Carney was able to get Smith to agree to a pipeline deal that seems to, because it ain't over till it's over kind of thing with this kind of work, a pipeline that doesn't go anywhere near the United States or taking oil anywhere near the border. This is an entirely within Canada, get it out to the West Coast, and let's see what's happening with distribution. And let's not build in sensitive waters. Is that the right way of saying it? Intercoastal seas, stuff that you really want to protect. So can we keep environmentalism at the foreground of some economic decisions of enormous size for Canada's autonomy and for Canada's economic wellness? The answer seems to be yes, we can protect it. We don't have to build a new terminal. We don't have to build it in contentious waters where sensitive species exist and where First Nations concerns are for the sea life there. We can work it all out. This is what we need to do. We need to be able to find the middle ground between the pendulum swinging. Speaking of pendulum swinging, my sibling, my brother Dan, Canadian A, has got a song about pendulum swinging based on a poem that he wrote how many years ago? I won't say how many years ago, but I'll say it was grade 8. And he's written another song about the encouragement from a grade 8 English teacher who encouraged him to keep going with it at a time when he might have quit being creative. But here he is, a retired guy like myself, finding new strides using AI to generate his life, his biography, and things that he's observing, give it a musical expression. Not as a musician, not as a poet or a writer himself, but using directed AI to get his ideas out of his head and onto the paper. That's an old metaphor, but I still prefer paper. I still put my pen on the paper. I still use a highlighter to make editing choices, a pencil on the margins. I still do all that. I draw lines to where I think things should go or change. Old school. Well, that's me. Are you going to change? Can you teach an old dog new tricks? I hope so, because I'm using AI to verify sources and to be a research assistant for my book. And my book is coming along. And maybe that's something else I'll spend some time talking about. But first, I wanted to go a bit into that notion of Canada and Carney just greenlit a pipeline and why this is such a big deal. And that's because for decades, it's more than decades, it's nearly a century, Canada has had exactly one primary customer, and that's the U.S. All the pipelines, if you check them out on a map of pipelines, go north-south, across the border from Alberta and down maybe even from Saskatchewan. I'm not sure where the border access is, but it goes to the United States, where it goes down to the big refineries in Texas and Louisiana. So these things, it's been a one-trick pony for 100 years of exporting. And this is not doing us any favors. We don't get market value. It's below market value. America upgrades it, processes it, and sends it at world prices. So we lose and lose, but we gain because at least there's a market for something. But we're not making the big bucks. They are. Well, that's time to stop, I think. And in this day and age of elbows up, 51st state, what? Buying the F-35s? No. Having submarines from South Korea? Germany? Airplanes from Sweden? What? Drones from Ukraine? Like, Canada is just going all over the place with partnerships to do workarounds for what should have been a natural market if Trump could have kept his, I was going to use some derogatory term, his pudgy fingers and thumbs off his Truth Social account and just be a regular, politician who doesn't change too much. I'll take that as opposed to breaking everything. And let's go back to Davos and talk about the context, because let me be direct, Mark Carney at Davos. This is a rupture. Do you remember that word, rupture? Not rapture, although I guess there are those who think that it is leading to a rapture. It is a rupture in supply markets, demand markets. It is a real rupture in the global economy. And when I say global, I do not say that lightly. We are an interdependent species. We need each other. And in terms of economics, we need materials from other people. That's working together. You don't have to have it all. You don't need, and it's absolutely abhorrent to have the term that Trump has often used in interviews. We don't need anything from Canada. We don't need the cars. We don't need their oil. We don't need their wood. They don't need steel, aluminum. America first. I watched a show that on Netflix that was a bit of a documentary talking about the America First movement. America First is a racist, fascist, neo-Nazi incarnation of what Trump and MAGA are all about. So when you think of Make America Great Again, really it's Make America First Again, which is an isolationist, racist, neo-Nazi, fascist. You name it, all the derogatory words you can come that parallel 1930s Germany, and you see them all in 2026 America, and that should scare the bejeebers out of everybody. Well, Carney labeled it right back in Davos, and when Trump continued to talk about 51st state stuff, even when Carney went at him in the Oval Office. Let me be direct, says Carney. Yeah, let's be direct. Let's tell you the lay of the land. And it is important. That Daniel Smith is agreeing to this is the miracle, because as a quasi-far-right nut job herself, taking Alberta's UCP into the realms of Project 2025, it's amazing that this is going to happen, but the deal has been struck. BC has to be part of this deal because the pipeline proposed route is going through British Columbia. So the fact that everybody, Alberta, British Columbia, Indigenous groups, and climate activists and the federal government seem to be on the same page for this, well, that's a good thing. There are some rough edges still, and there are some things that, not throwing monkey wrenches into the process, but they could slow things up a little bit. But I'm all for going slow if we need to do something right and well the first time. So that's where that's going. But now we have the United States, who's, I like this line, There's a clock ticking, with the U.S. now elbow deep in the anus of Venezuela's oil industry post-Maduro. Cheap Venezuelan heavy crude could start eating Canadian market share in the American refineries, which, funny enough, makes this pipeline more urgent, not less. Diversify now or get squeezed later. Wow. Well, that's a little quote from the article. Canada's Carney doesn't. Canada and Carney just greenlit a pipeline that doesn't go anywhere near the United States. We need the alternatives. We need them as soon as possible. Build Canada strong, build Canada fast, respect people's rights and freedom, and do it as best we can, as efficiently as we can. And Canada as a destination for foreign investment is going through the roof. Here we go, Canada. Brace yourself in a positive way. Canada's GDP positive for the first time in a quarter. Looks good on you, Canada. Let's go. Roll up your sleeves. Get to work. Bye-bye for now.
It's complicated, this relationship I have with my morning coffee. It's from the way that I